Hi, I'm Dean DeMarzo.
And I'm Tori DeMarzo.
And this is Relatively in Tune, where we talk to creative people and the people close to them. Today, our guests are Kai Ono and Peter Enriquez. Kai Ono, a.k.a. OK Kai, is a singer-songwriter and keyboard player for the band Melt, who we absolutely love.
I was so excited to have him. I've been waiting for a long time, so it's exciting.
Yeah, this is a really big one for us. And Peter Enriquez, also huge for me, because I have been obsessed with his guitar playing ever since we saw him playing guitar for Nathan Farrell.
I know.
Groove.
It was so funny. You're like, oh my gosh, that guitar player is so impressive. I need to find out who he is. And you ran up to Nathan. We're
Yes.
who is that? And then we had no idea that Kai was going to bring Peter on the show.
I know.
We were just kind of surprised. It was a really pleasant surprise.
There were a lot of surprises. One of the things, I don't think we mentioned it in the episode, but just before the episode, Peter and I realized we had the same guitar teacher growing up.
Right.
Which is crazy. And Matt Fink, who is an incredible guitarist, huge, important, mentor for me as a guitarist. And I was a guest on his podcast, The Mink and the Monk, a few years ago. So go check that out. But yeah, talking to Kai and Peter, Kai has 3 new singles out. He has a 4th one coming out on September 9th. And I'm just absolutely in love with what he's doing with music, what he's doing elsewhere. We all talked about the education work we've done.
The books that he's made.
Yes. Yes. So there's a lot of really fun discussion in here, a lot of really fun, deep discussion of songwriting and the spirit going into these things. It's a really fun, exciting episode. So without further ado, here's Kai Ono and Peter Enriquez.
Relatively in tune.
My name is Kai. I live currently in Queens, soon to be in Brooklyn next week. I tour with Melt, this band, and I do my own singer-songwriter project, and I also have a few educational books out since I also love teaching piano. These books are also combining my love for birds, so it's a bird-themed books that I wrote for educational piano, beginner to intermediate level. Wow. Yep. And I brought Peter because I'm currently on album release cycle. 4th single is coming out in 2 weeks after this recording date. And Peter was my co-producer throughout the whole album. He kind of just helped me through everything through it. So I kind of owe him my life right now, honestly.
Oh my God, relax.
Yeah, I mean, we've known each other since around 2018, I want to say.
That sounds about right.
Yeah, he's one of the earlier people I met since I moved to the city in 2017. And yeah, we've just been playing together on a bunch of other people's things. I've played for, we played for each other's things as well. And then we're just kind of also part of this larger community of musicians surrounding this studio that Peter co-owns also, called Short Stack.
My name is Peter. I am a multi-instrumentalist, musical director, and producer engineer based in Brooklyn. I've been in Brooklyn for about 10 years. I co-own the studio called Short Stack that we're currently inside of. It occupies most of my days, and then the stage occupies most of my nights. I tour as a musical director right now for an artist named Xenodelphia, and so I spend a lot of time with her on the road a couple of months out of the year typically, and so I do arranging and live show production, and then play a couple instruments in her band, and then I gig around town with a number of other projects and bands, and I teach a handful of kids too. I've taught Kai's bird books to my kids before. They're my favorite things.
That's so cool.
It's the only children's piano music you've ever heard that's not boring. You're like, oh my God, this is a beautiful piece of music for a 7-year-old, So that's kind of what I do.
Awesome.
That's so important to have something that's not boring to teach the kids, because I feel
Totally.
like you start out with the most boring things, and then they never ever want to play that instrument.
Totally, yeah. In the world of the iPad baby, it's you got to give them something that's sounds kind of cool, or something that's fun to play, or
And has nice pictures.
It does have nice
Spanish,
pictures.
of course.
Yeah.
It's crazy how much of a difference that makes.
You're so right.
We got an incredible illustrator, a friend of a friend, that drew these incredible illustrations, and that is really honestly all that matters for most kids at first. So yeah, just the ooh shiny factor of nice book looking. And despite the iPad kid generation, everyone prefers physical. The sales of physical books are completely overshadowing the digital copies sold.
It, yeah. I think that something I found in your books also is that there's a couple pieces where it's just play whatever notes you want at the high end.
Oh,
just
yeah.
just kind of play them. And these kids are like, what do you mean? I can just play anything I want? I'm like, yeah, just do this, Like, I feel like I taught that, and then I thought of Kai, and I was like, that's a really good idea. That was so slick, like so clever. Because it's still musically thoughtful. It's not like just play some stupid bullshit. You know what I mean? It's like, it's a musically compelling idea in that moment of these pieces, So I'm like, good on you, Kai,
And it lets them know it's like important sometimes to be able to make those decisions in music for yourself sometimes. I can think back to college. There were recording projects I was doing where I did something like that. Like, okay, string quartet, I need you all to just slide to the highest note you have at any pace. We're going to get this kind of like crazy film score kind of sound. And they were like, I don't understand what you mean. These are like 20 people who've been playing 10 years, And it's
well, so strict when I was growing up. I feel like I started out on violin, and the violin books are always so boring.
So boring.
And I would never practice, and like ugly covers. Nobody wanted to carry that stupid stuff in their backpack. Like, I never practiced. I never did anything. And same with, I think I played organ for a little bit in my house. Yeah, my mom got like a free organ somewhere, and I remember like the book was like ancient and smelled old and like had terrible songs in it, and like doesn't encourage you to play around.
And now you don't play organ.
And now I don't play any of those. So yeah, I think it's so important. Like, it's a great idea.
Yeah, I mean, like, maybe hot take, but like, I would just straight up say that like classical music is not a creative genre, in that like as a player of the genre, you're not generating any new material or content. So what that means is classical musicians are interpreters, they're not creators.
Yes.
And so and then even with creation, there's like a whole spectrum where you can have somebody do a cover of a song and there's some borrowed material but then some original input into it. But in a world, I think, where you're only playing exactly a set of prescribed notes, and the best you can do to add your own creative influence into the song is with gestural musical elements like dynamics, articulation, or whatever, I think that does not meet the bar for you are creating something. So ultimately, I think most classical music doesn't beat the bar for being a creative player, which means most students who start off classical, which is almost all piano students, because that's piano's tradition, don't start off doing things creatively. To me, that's like a huge mistake.
Right.
Totally.
Like guitarists, when they start out shredding.
Yeah, the first step is so shredding.
It's like, what is this? The kid's like, you ask the kid, like, what do you want to do? And you're like, I want to play a ripping solo. It's like, that's so awesome. Like, pianists, you ask a kid, like, what do you want to play eventually? They're like, I don't know. Like, there's like, there's no dreams. Where's the dreaming of that, you know? So like, I have to like have kids like start writing really early on is kind of always what I think too.
Yeah, me too.
Even with, and then, I give a lot of like master classes out, especially in California, but I do a lot of stuff advocating teachers to start teaching composition to kids like as early as possible, like even at like 6, 7 really. And the nice part is, even if teachers themselves don't compose, like they're still going to learn it faster than a 6 or 7 year old. So you can always just like outpace the kids learning, and then just fight with that. And then if anything, it's still also a human and relatable experience for a teacher to learn something alongside the student as well. Like, I think that's cool anyways.
Yes.
So like, truly, then nobody has an excuse not to do composition lessons. It's kind of the take. So that's why I have these elements in these books to force teachers to do that.
Can I ask, what was the start of that journey look like for you? What were those first books? When did you start learning piano, and how?
I started learning piano when I was 5. I started to write music when I was 7. Kept writing pretty much all through my life after that, but I added composition as like my second major in college. I was actually a classical piano and composition double major. So the second major, composition, I added like halfway through freshman year, and already at that point I'm just like writing music a lot, and I would be writing pieces for kids anytime they needed a really specific kind of recital piece, but I just couldn't find the right thing for them. This is a pretty common start for a lot of educational composers, actually. Like, they just start writing for their own kids. They're just like, I couldn't find the best piece for them. Like, fuck it, I'm just gonna make it. I just amassed enough of those, and then one day, my friend who just started his own little publishing company calls me. He's like, hey, like, I want to like publish some educational pieces by you. Like, would you write stuff for me? And I'm like, I already have like 20 pieces for you. Like, and then just picked the ones that were closest in level with each other, and then sent that over. And that's been since then. And it's been around 3 years since the books came out. They're still selling pretty consistently, so that's been great too. Yeah.
Where are you selling them?
Online with the publisher. The publisher is called My Melodies.
I saw that on your Instagram. Right. Okay, cool.
Mm-hmm.
Now that you say that, like, I didn't think about how many pieces I definitely wrote for my students over the years.
Totally, yeah.
Or arrangements specifically for, like, they want to learn this song, but, you know, it's a metal song. They're playing a acoustic guitar, 3/4 size. Yeah. So we got to figure out a way to make this work. Yeah, totally. All the time, every day.
Interesting. I don't know that I knew that about you. It's harder with vocals because I remember when I studied vocals in school and I wanted to go audition for college, it was like so hard for them to find anything that fit something that I was comfortable with and also liked. So I had to learn stuff that I like hated and didn't appreciate. And then I didn't get into school because of it. So it's harder, I guess, with vocals.
That's such an important connection that they're excited about it. That's the number one thing. Yeah. They got to be excited about whatever they're learning or they won't do it.
Yeah.
Totally.
That's cool. I didn't realize we were a room full of educators going into this. This is very cool.
Yeah. I do think that like that stuff starts to bleed into my songwriting stuff as well, honestly. Like I think even though some songs might touch upon more mature topics, I do kind of end up gravitating towards this kind of a little bit more, for the lack of a better word, wholesome. Like maybe another way I would try to put it is like a little more all ages, because I tend to, for example, not write about romance, for example. I love writing about friendship, family, community instead. So I think to me that is in part, at least, because of my teaching ethos bleeding into my writing as well.
That is I'm in a similar boat. I have never touched on any like romance or adult topics like that in my writing.
Except once.
Well, wait, which?
You wrote a song for me once.
Oh, right. That was a long time ago.
Yeah. Didn't go. We never ever showed anyone.
It's not too late. Let's go this podcast with it.
I know, right?
Nope. Just running under the whole time.
That was 10 years ago.
There's more than that, yeah.
God. But yeah, coming out of, like, I started my songwriting career while I was still teaching. And I was like, I can't write anything that these kids shouldn't listen to.
Totally.
So that is funny. I want to know what brought you from the educational background, learning piano. When did you start singing? When did you make the jump into this current artist persona as OK Kai, the 3 singles you've put out so far?
I have had kind of like a very crazy, very simultaneous journey with a lot of the musics in my life. I've been playing at least classical piano and writing for pretty much my entirety of my life, I would even say, because like that was since I was 7. Started playing jazz around like high school, and then started also singing early high school. So all of that has also been kind of just simultaneously existing throughout. Like even throughout college, I was also taking lessons. So I was kind of doing 3 majors almost in school, which is kind of diabolical, but like I kind of couldn't drop any of the 3. My classical teacher really wanted me to specialize harder. Of course, they wanted me to specialize in classical piano because they're my classical piano teacher. I don't blame them for that. But like, I just realized that I can't just do one thing. I definitely can. If there's gonna be one thing, it can't just be classical piano. I think like I live in these like different houses, and I want to continue to cultivate all of them. So songwriting is a little bit of a different story. I think I've been writing prose and poetry on my own for a very long time as well. But I only started combining that into songwriting probably like when I moved to the city. So roughly 7-ish years ago, 2017, almost 8 years ago now. So the first song that I wrote is actually on the upcoming album. It's Joy Returns, which is like the last track on my album. So if I've had this song kind of sitting in my backlog in a sense for like 7-8 years.
Wow.
I wrote a few other songs since then, and none of them really quite felt as good. I really loved this first song. I kind of have always been writing songs, not just songwriting, but even just like classical pieces or even jazz pieces as like gifts to friends, like pretty much all my life. And these songs are no exception. So like I wrote Joy Returns for a friend, and then I was like, wow, this is like, I cannot lie. Like having wrote this myself, this is a great song. I love my song that I wrote.
That's good. You want that.
I do want, I kind of, for me, I kind of can't do the whole like creator that doesn't love their creations. I can't do that.
I'm my own Spotify Wrapped #1 every year. It's
like, I'll say it. Can we talk about this? Because like, okay, like that's my headcanon is that anyone who doesn't post their Spotify Wrapped doesn't because they're their own #1.
Yep.
if that's the case, it makes me feel just at least a little better about the world. That like
every time.
there's like a little bit more self-love in this world than I thought that there is, and that's a very pleasant thought to me. Because like like I wrote the songs because I wanted to exist. So like of course I'm gonna listen to it. I wanted it to exist in the first place. So obviously like I think that kind of relationship with like my own creation makes it so that anytime any friend specifically, not just like any person, likes my music, just like hits that much harder too. It's like that much more personally fulfilling as well. And that hits even harder when it's the person that I wrote the song for too. So yeah, I guess I just love raising the stakes by making it extra personal. And just like, if this doesn't hit, then I'm going to be devastated. But if it hits, it's going to be the best thing ever.
How did you meet Peter?
Through the trap. So,
Crazy.
do you want to talk about the trap a little bit?
Sure.
Please.
So I have my like artist project that is really like sort of my like funnel for all my creative psychosis. It's this band called Honey Trap, and it's kind of a long story, but in short, basically we started playing together around 2016, and we kind of were booking a handful of shows, but we're a very large band. Is an important feature. We're like there's 10 of us, and it's like a live hip hop kind of thing.
Nice.
And we kind of through like an accidental set of circumstances where we were like offered a weekly gig at Arlene's Grocery, basically like taking over for this like extremely legendary like band that was doing a similar thing to us. But basically the format was we would like hit up a friend to open for us. It was 10 p.m. to like between 2 and 4 a.m. on Thursday nights. So it's kind of like an aggressive thing to do every week. But we'd get an opener to play at like 10:30 for like 30-40 minutes. We would do like a house set of my tunes for like 30-40 minutes, and then it'd be like open, improvise, jam, no repertoire, just kind of like play. And that's kind of how, I mean, it's kind of responsible for building my career, to be honest with you, because I feel like it's just, when you're outside that much, you just meet more people, but so I met Kai through that, I think. And then the first time we played together, this I won't ever forget, it was with Seb. Yeah. Our friend Sebastian is a really amazing producer, bass player, guitar player. He has a degree in like contemporary classical composition, and so he had written this piece that was 2 guitars and 2 pianos, and I remember Kai was on that, and that was the first time we had ever played together. We played this like, where the fuck did we play? It was like some like random like
Random,
kind of like
gallery /
kind of
cafe
situation.
kind of place,
Yeah, but it was like just like 4 like classical-ish or classical music adjacent pieces or something like that. But that was the first time we had played together.
Yeah,
and it was cool because that was like a graphic score, like totally like just kind of interpretable, not really, definitely not notes.
We were definitely the best group of that.
Yeah, we
night.
sounded awesome.
Yeah.
Like, wow. I was like, damn, we're such a sick band, guys.
Yeah, that was the first time we met and played together.
And that would have been probably within 6 months of you first coming to the trap. So we started doing that session like 2018 sometime, I guess, probably 2018 summer or something. And then we kind of had it for like a couple of years until the pandemic kind of stopped it, and then we kind of like didn't really continue because there were too many complicated factors. Sure. One being that we all aged, and it was like, oh, we can't like be out till 4 a.m. once a week for like functionally $0. It's like it's not gonna work, But yeah, so I must have met you within the first couple months of that.
Yeah, I didn't even know that I was that early to the game.
Because I guess I misspoke. Honey Trap really formally formed fall 17 or something like that, and because I was at NYU for my master's and graduated 2018, and so most of us met kind of in that sphere. And the band formed basically because I bullied everyone into playing on this like thesis project I had to do, which is where you have to make a record, but I refused to make a jazz record just on principle of the matter. And so I was like, I wonder if I can get away with like putting together this hip hop record. There's like all these solos and all this other stuff on it. But I had to write like more songs than I really was capable of because there was like a time minimum. It was kind of a mess. So then those were like the only songs we played for like so long because we were doing the session every week. So I had like no time to write. It's impossible to rehearse with 10 people in your band. Completely impossible. So we would just roll the dice every week, And we've slowly accumulated more songs, but it's definitely like not my career priority to play with that band. It's more like feels like having dinner with your friends when we play together.
That's important too, though.
Yeah, I know it's super important. I mean, especially because we spend so much time together. When you're spending 4 to 6 drunk hours a week together on Thursdays, very rarely would anybody miss one. It'd be if someone missed one, and it would be fine because we had met so many people like Kai and other friends through the session. It was really easy to be like, hey, do you want to sub in our set? You probably heard it like 30 times. I'll send you the charts. Like, let's just do it. And like. That happened a handful of times, but ultimately, like, it's all good vibes. You know what I mean? It was more of a party than like a musical display in a lot of ways, which I feel like for me was important, both at the time and to me is important in general. I think jam sessions are really dicey kind of environments, and so something like this that was sort of like you do a good job, but like it's not that serious. Is kind of the premise. Listen more than you speak. Whatever, all that. But anyway. So yeah, that's the trap.
Yeah.
That's how we met. I guess we started
So
playing
many
together.
people that we've had on this podcast have met at jam sessions in Brooklyn.
Totally. Yeah.
Yeah.
Almost everybody that we've had.
That's it.
It's crazy. I need to go to one of those.
You do. Can you talk about your guitar background, because you are ridiculous?
Oh, thanks.
I
Man.
know.
saw
You
you
know,
at,
he has said
I've been
many
talk-
times
yeah.
talked about you
Where'd you
before
guys
we've
go?
known
Where'd you
you.
guys
We saw you at Groove with Nathan.
Oh, with Nate.
Farrell.
Okay,
Yeah.
that was so fun.
Yeah.
Dude. I
That
did
was
not rehearse with them. I was so anxious.
crazy.
Like,
Yeah.
I mean, Nathan makes it so easy though.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's like he's a really amazing band leader because he is able to really instantly just place trust in you. You know what I mean? Like he's not like micromanaging or helicoptering you. He's just kind of like, cool, here's the songs, let's go. You know what I mean? You're like, okay. He's like, you got the charts? I'm like, yeah, I guess, all right, cool, yeah, it'll be fine. I'm
That
like,
can
all right,
be
cool.
terrifying, though.
And it's like, but I feel like when people do that and they mean it, it makes me way more comfortable.
That's
like
good.
it's when people are like, "You sure you got it right? It's gonna be okay."
Yeah,
That's
yeah,
when I'm like,
yeah.
"Fuck, am I gonna eat shit?" You know what I mean? But like with him, he's just kind of like, "Oh, you got it, yeah, no problem." I was like, "Okay, great." And then we kind of played, and then grooves will change, and I'm like, "Oh, I get it. We're gonna do Everybody Wants to Rule the World now," which we
Yes.
didn't talk about. And, then, and he looked at me, and I was like, good. And he was like, and I was like, "Yeah, I know. I'm listening. I get it." So it's like stuff like that. But I don't know, what is my guitar background? I mean, so I started on piano actually when I was 7. That was my
Nice.
first instrument, and I abandoned it for greener pastures at around 11 or
Same.
12. As many
Needed
of us
the
do.
bird book.
I wish I had kept piano. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like I think that I still play a lot. I have all these
Yeah.
fucking keyboards and stuff, but like it's certainly not my main instrument, and certainly not the one I'm best at. Yeah, I guess like the story according to my mother is that like I asked for piano lessons, and she was like, "All right, I guess so." No one in my family's musical, so it was kind of just like I asked for it, I guess. And I guess like because I have an obsessive personality, I think I just got like kind of addicted to practicing, and so I like compulsively practiced for like a really long time. And then I met this guy named Gabe, who I was talking to you guys about earlier, who's this amazing guitar player who I grew up with upstate, and he played guitar, and he like kind of taught me how to play a little bit. And then I was like, "Oh, this is cool. Like I want to do this." And then so he was able to like ask his teacher if like he would have space to like teach me. And so then I started learning from that guy. I went to this very small high school where there wasn't a lot of like formalized music education. Like I didn't really have any formal theory. Like it was all kind of just like via osmosis of like understanding how the songs worked and like understanding, because I ostensibly took jazz guitar lessons. It was like kind of people dumping theoretical information on me, and I'm like, I don't really get what you're talking about, but like I kind of hear it, And that kind of continued to be the case like until I was part of the way through college. I went to college not intending to study music. That was like the other weird thing that happened.
What did you want to study?
Well, I did 2 years of neuroscience.
Oh my God.
I didn't go to
You and
conservatory.
Nathan both like he
Right, yeah.
studied
So
to be a doctor.
That's what I was trying to do. Also, we have very similar paths. Honestly, I think I actually have a lot of friends who kind of have done a similar thing. I mean, but yeah, I didn't go to conservatory. I went to Brown and I studied neuroscience for like 2 years, and then I like had like a meltdown one day and I dropped all my classes.
Who does
And
they
then the
help
class that I really
that?
liked was like my like classical tonal harmony class, because I never taken theory before, but it was helpful to put language to all the things that I could hear and that I could understand, especially because I was like, a decent level player at that point, so I like had facility with the instrument and like had decent ears, and so it was like, oh, this is all like, it's all like kind of fitting now. And so I got like really into music theory, and Brown doesn't have a conservatory, so there wasn't like a lot of playing. I was like in the jazz band, but that was kind of the limit of it. Yeah, so there wasn't a lot of playing happening, so it was like all the classes were academic music oriented. So I took like, I have a degree in classical music theory. That is technically what my degree is, and which is hilarious because I've never played classical music in my life, like ever, honestly. It was cool because the music department was quite small, and so you kind of knew everybody. The professors were all first name people. And then like the on-campus sort of music environment, because there were not that many people playing, it gave me a lot of opportunity to play, which I think was important for me at that point in my life. Coming from a really small community in a really small high school and like not playing with a lot of people, I didn't really know where I fit or like what my level of skill was, because there was just no comparison point. And so like being able to be given opportunities to play all the time made me get way better, Like I played with this band Lawrence in school when I was in school.
We've heard of them.
My favorite band of all time.
Really?
My ringtone is a
seen them
Lawrence song.
That's so funny.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, like I started playing with them when I was like 18 and Clyde was 19, because Clyde was a year older than I was, and so like I started playing with them at that point, and I played with them all of school. And then they all graduated before me, and they're like, "Hey, do you want to join the band? Like drop out of college?" I was like, "I'm not gonna drop out of college, but you guys should go for it." I love you guys.
What? You could have been in Lawrence.
Yeah, I mean, I ultimately think being on tour that much would not have been good for me. I think that like,
It sounds
especially
exhausting.
in retrospect, I think it was not for me, and I'm glad I made the decision I did.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But those are my homies. I talk to them all the time. I just was talking with Mark like 2 days ago. He like is helping me with something,
That's
but
awesome.
and I play on some of the records still and stuff. So I have a wonderful relationship with them, and I adore them. They're the homies. So that really gave me a lot of opportunity to play, because because they were gigging, they were like playing at other colleges, like doing the thing where they're like hustling. And like I've never really written music. That's like not part of my thing. You know what I mean? Like I have this music for Honey Trap, but I think we have a total of like 11 songs max over the course of like 10 years, you know?
Wow.
And it's like, to be honest with you, I don't really have any interest in writing music.
Yeah.
I don't feel like I'm very good at it. I don't feel like I have very much to say. And this is not like to degrade myself. I'm just like, that's just not where my skills are, you know?
100%, yeah.
Like I feel like I have a different set of skills that, you know, kind of function like supporting other people's creative visions, which is like why I like to produce. Which is why I like to engineer and arrange and music direct and all these things. Like I feel like having that framework and having an idea that someone has and trying to figure out how to realize it feels like something that's very attainable for me. But I don't feel like I have any ideas, which sounds like a bummer when I say it, but it's not. You know what I mean?
I
I'm not trying to make it sound so sad.
No,
but,
No, you know the things you like to do, most importantly.
Yeah.
And nothing else needs attention. And that's it.
And it's like, you know, I'm sure we all have the imposter syndrome. I definitely have the imposter syndrome over being like, oh my God, like, why aren't I writing any fucking songs? Like, I have no artistic identity. What am I doing? And then sometimes I'm like, nah, whatever. You know, like.
But look at you, have this whole studio.
Yeah, this is also like a result of my psychosis. You know what I mean? Like, it always feels, I'd say this a lot, but it always feels weird bringing people here because it feels like I'm inviting someone to the inside of my mind. You know what I mean?
Wow.
Because this is like kind of what the inside of my mind looks like. You know, I mean, like, you know, like I wired the whole studio. Like I don't have any formal engineering background other than just like buying a bunch of shit and rolling the dice, you know, and like watching other people do it and reading a lot of, you know, Reddit threads and watching YouTube videos, you know?
Same.
That's
But
your vulnerability here. Like people can be vulnerable in writing music, but this is your opportunity.
In some ways,
to be
yeah,
vulnerable.
definitely, because it does feel like any way the studio presents feels like a reflection of myself because I've spent so much time, money, and effort on it, you know. And I know Grant feels similarly. We definitely feel both very protective of the studio in a lot of ways because we're so like we've dumped everything we have into it and we continue to do it like fiercely in a way that it's like, oh God, like if someone doesn't fuck with this, then like we're completely cooked, you know?
Wow.
It's not so different from how you talk about sharing songs and you know what I mean? It's the same kind of thing where it's like I put it there and it's like, if you don't like this, I'm so crushed, but if you do, it's so awesome, you know? Like,
can you talk about production, how you got into it, and especially as it relates to the songs you worked on with Kai?
yeah, sure. I mean, my start with like the engineering production thing came from when I was really young. My younger sister is a singer-songwriter. She's like a visual artist and has like this rock band. And so she was a couple years younger than I am. And when she was like 12 or 13, she started writing songs, like a lot, you know? And at that point, I like wanted to learn how to record music. What was this? This is like, you know, mid 2000s maybe. So like access to like a Pro Tools rig or like a Focusrite 2i2 was not really that easy at that point in time. And so I kind of started like many people did at that point, like making beats in GarageBand, you know what I mean? Like dragging the loops in and trying to understand how they fit together. But ultimately my then guitar teacher I had recorded something with him, like with like a band for somebody or some audition. I can't remember what it was, but I was asking about what he was doing. He's like, oh, it's called Pro Tools. And so he explained it to me and I was like, okay, cool. Like I want to do this. And so on eBay, I bought a Digi 002, which maybe people remember, maybe they don't.
Yes.
But it's a 4-channel interface that at the time cost like $900 and came with Pro Tools 7 Lite or something. And so I bought that, like with every dollar I'd ever saved. And I had an iBook, you know, the earliest Mac laptop. I had an iBook. I still have it in my parents' house because I can't bear to get rid of it, you know? It definitely doesn't turn on anymore, but I just can't get rid of it. But so I had this iBook and I had Pro Tools. And I had like 2 SM57s and I went to like the local guitar shop and I was like, I need microphones. And they're like, sure, like how about this $300 condenser mic? And I was like, okay, great, sure. So I ostensibly had a studio. I didn't really know how to use Pro Tools for like a really long time. I kind of was rolling the dice. Like I didn't know you could edit things. So I would just re-record things till I got it right every time. It was like a tape machine, you know? Because I was like, YouTube wasn't that good yet also. Like you couldn't just Google Pro Tools introduction. Like you had to read this like 400-page manual that a 12-year-old can't really read.
Reading
you know
is
what
so
I mean?
boring, yeah.
Dude, when you're like 14 just trying to make hits, like you don't want to read this 400-page book, you know? Like now I read the manual all the time. But so that's kind of how it started. My sister wrote music, and because we grew up in Newburgh, you know, there's not like a lot of people around there. We went to school that was not near where we lived, and so like we didn't have a lot of friends nearby. So we kind of grew up together. Like just the two of us spent like all of our time together. And she wrote a lot of music, and I played a bunch of instruments, and so I like taught myself how to play drums so I could work on these things, you know. And so that's why I have all these drums and why I really like drum recording and stuff. But like we would just kind of record these songs for endless periods of time. So that's kind of where the production thing started. And then in college I met Grant on the first day of college, who's my current studio partner, and we both kind of had a similar affection for it. We both kind of come from a jazz background also, like musically, so we had similar interests. And we kind of just grew like both kind of in series and parallel, kind of crossing over each other and like learning how to produce stuff. And then the studio came to be because basically one summer we were on tour with a band between our first and second year of our master's degrees. He was doing his master's in Europe. And I was like, what are you going to do when you finish your school? Are you going to stay in Europe? He's like, well, I can't. Like, what am I going to do here? And I was like, true. And then he's like, do you want to start a studio? I was like, okay. And that was kind of like it. That was like the agreement, basically. It was like we said it out loud, and then we spent like a year on FaceTime talking about what that would mean. And then, you know, now fast forward however many years later, here we are.
That's crazy. That's what you were going to do with your friend.
Oh yeah, after college my friend and I were going to go down to Nashville and start a studio, and then I went on a cruise ship for a year instead and totally bailed on him, and I feel bad about that.
You know?
Yeah. Now he's still in Nashville.
He's still in Nashville. He's doing fine.
He's
Well, there you go. So
He's-
whatever, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
It's all
actually he's in
good.
Texas doing sound for Kai Cenat right now or something.
What was Corey Wong, right? Was it Corey Wong?
Well, no, you're right. He was doing the Corey Wong songwriting camp last week.
Yeah. That's
Wow.
cool. I want to know, Kai, about your whole experience with Melt, because I know Eric was the piano player, right? Prior to that, keyboard player. And then he left. So then how did you get the gig with them?
I knew Lucas, their bassist, and Andres, their drummer, and also a little bit Ron, their singer, before joining. But basically, Lucas is primarily the one that makes the calls as far as personnel goes. Although, I mean, it's all three of them. But Lucas called me just the week before the first day of tour. And he's like, what are you doing next week? And I was like, I could be free. What's up? And he's like, are you free for a weekend to do some stuff with Melt? And I was like, I can probably make it happen. I just had to like cancel 2 things. And he's like, what about for the 3 weeks after that?
Oh my
I was
God.
like, I would have to make a lot of calls for that, but I could maybe swing it. And he's like, well, okay, like can we ask for this like first week and then see how that goes, and then we actually come back to the city after that first weekend and then go on after that for 3 weeks, so we can then decide the last 3 weeks afterwards. And then if that feels good, then also April maybe. And then,
Oh my God.
Yeah.
and then if that's good, and then maybe get married next week and then get matching tattoos.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
then, you know,
I like how quickly this conversation is
right.
inching
it's like we'll
forward.
buy like we'll buy a little
Buy a home
cottage in
together.
France.
Yeah, exactly.
right. So it was just like little by little, kind of just like inching my way into more and more shows with them. And then also I actually ended up not being able to do the April dates myself. It was kind of a little bit too last minute to just cancel like all my students.
Right.
Yeah.
Cancel my whole life for a month.
For 2 months, like,
Yeah, like-
I was like, okay, I can do 1 month, but I just can't do 2 months. Like, I will lose all my students if I do this. So they ended up asking this other songwriter from LA, Tor Miller, great musician, to be on the West Coast run during April. But I feel very fortunate that they liked me enough to have me on for several other shows since then. We did like a Northeast run, opening for Pigeons Playing Ping Pong and the Infamous String Dusters, and then we did just like several one-offs. Like we went to Alaska, had like 2 shows there. That was
Yeah, I did
awesome.
I did that one
So
last
sick.
year.
Oh, that's right.
Nice.
Same
I did that
place.
same gig with Xena last year.
Right.
The same Alaska
Nice.
gig. Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Beautiful town of like,
Yeah.
it's funny because the town is like 200 and the venue is a 200 cap.
Oh my God.
So everyone's there.
Well, it's like that. Plus, I guess like people just will drive 3 hours like it's nothing there.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. People aren't stressed about that. They're like,
Yeah.
oh my God, it's so close.
yeah,
Like,
Anchor.
they refer to Anchorage
Just
as
down the road.
town, and Anchorage is like an hour and a half from where they are. They're
Yeah.
like, oh, we gotta go to town real quick. And it's like, what do you mean you're gonna take a quick hour and a half cruising
That's
along a mountain to like, you know,
Crazy.
But the nearest gas station is an hour away already.
True,
so
true.
I
that's
could never
like,
live with
the
that.
nearest
That's
gas
so
station is 50
scary.
miles away.
yeah.
So they have to.
Are you talking about that one gas station like on the bend right there? They're like,
Yes.
this is the last one, and you're like, whoa. Like,
Yeah.
they're
So
like,
they
yeah, you
have
just stop
to
for gas even if you don't need it. You just gotta do it just in case.
Yeah.
You don't know what's gonna happen. I'm like,
get the
oh
gas,
my God.
fill some canisters, save it at your place.
Oh, no.
Like you have to. But man, I mean, kind of honestly, awesome. Like that. The thing is, even though the venue is 200 cap, the town is 200, and then there's probably like a certain population of people that are like, I don't like that. There's like all these people not from here, and there's this big venue
Yeah.
here, so I'm not gonna go to this show. So then, honestly, like probably from town, like maybe only like a third of the town is there. So most of these are people that are just like driving like an hour and a half minimum to get to the show. So great crowd. I mean, those are some fucking real fans that are driving
Yeah.
big
Yeah.
distances to go see shows. So.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's been a kind of a crazy month. I was also in Germany. I was doing a few some like original stuff out there. Just this festival called
Nice.
Classical Beat that I play for. I've been playing now for like 6-7-ish years now, so that's been really fun. And then I was just on the road with Melt for 3 weeks opening for My Morning Jacket. That was incredible. Those are probably like the biggest shows of like all of our lives. We were losing our minds obviously at Red Rocks. 2 days at Red Rocks, lucky us. Yeah, honestly, like, it's good to be back, and it kind of feels like that was a dream. Like, I don't know if it really happened.
It looks like you guys had so much fun, though, because you guys were posting about swimming every day, and there's a whole bunch of different places that you swam. It looks so fun.
Yeah, the group dynamic of Melt is really beautiful in that each member kind of has a very strong and different energy. So the one that brings about the activities coordination is the lead singer, Ron. They used to be like a not camp counselor, sorry, way more intense than that. They used to be like a canoe trip leader.
Whoa.
What?
So
funny,
they're
I
like
did that.
deeply in they're deep in like the whole nature hiking hang.
That's amazing.
And so we're out in like the beautiful like northwest. So it's like, of course we want to like go outside. We don't want to just like be in the van and watch these things pass us by. Like, let's jump in this river. So like one day Ron's like, who wants to make a pact with me to swim every day on this tour? And a few of us said yes. I was one of them. Because I love swimming. I grew up like 20 minutes from the beach, so I did water all the time. So I was down, a few others were down, but I'm pretty proud to say that us two were the only 2 people that remained to the very end that actually committed to swimming every day. So I did, except for one day where it was like physically not possible because there was just no water other than like a fountain or something like that. Yeah, I was able to swim every day. I know, yeah, no, we okay, yeah. Maybe I could have jumped in the fountain and then counted that. Yeah. But we kind of were also, we had this like unofficial constraint that it had to be a natural body of water.
Seems reasonable.
And we were in like
that.
Silver Lake. So like there's just like,
Silver Lake? What are you talking about? There's a whole
It's in
lake.
the name.
I mean, I wouldn't go in that for sure. You know, that's like going in the
it's
Guanche
not,
Canal.
and it's
you
also
know, like-
not like a natural lake there. That's like that's a man-made reservoir if I'm remembering correctly. So actually, but yeah, so that was really fun doing stuff like that. We also went, we did like a floating down a river under like a raft. That was nice. Oh, we also whitewater rafted in Alaska. A lot of activities happen on these trips. It is kind of, I went surfing for the first time.
Wow.
A lot of activities
You went
happen on these.
surfing for the first time, but you live near the beach.
Yeah, I know.
In
That's
California.
I mean, like, I always did just like, I rode waves in like basically every other way that exists, just not surfing. Okay. Like I would just like I would just swim with the wave, or like boogie board, or like anything that floats and can go in the wave.
You're
I
like,
took
I'm
it
in,
into
yeah,
the wave.
like-
I did it, but never surfed. I've never fully stood on it. I've even stand up paddleboarded, just never surfed. So
I haven't done any of
There
that.
you
So.
go.
I do.
I avoid water at all costs.
No,
I
we
do
had
love
the
the water.
Jersey Beach, and that was not
No.
conducive
Yes,
to
I know.
anything.
Please.
So somehow that was my first time surfing. Yeah, maybe I might even go Rockaways like next week or something
Oh my
like
God,
that.
let's
go.
Spot I know.
Yes.
It's
Mr.
so
Kai.
fun.
Can
Yeah.
you talk about these 3 singles you've dropped now as OK Kai?
Yeah, so this album kind of marks the beginning of me also using an artist alias as well. I wanted to separate the current projects from other songwriting things I've done in the past, for one. I think the main purpose for this is that I wanted to at least make a statement, not trying to make any permanent calls about like my style going forward, but at least say this is like an era of my music. It's going to be like this for at least the foreseeable future of the next few years. This kind of general style of contemporary R&B, neo soul, fusion jazz. It's like surrounding that style with some like maybe like folk and classical influences as well here and there, where I want to write a bunch of songs centering around this general thesis that I have of intelligence is kindness and kindness is intelligence. I think there's a common narrative of those 2 ideas being separate, in that in order to be intelligent, that means to be self-serving, to like hustle, it's to live for, to be calculated means to be manipulative. There's a lot of narratives kind of surrounding that, versus to be kind is to be reckless and to like overly giving self to like a detriment to oneself, to act with like a less of a plan, to be more naive and things like that. I really strongly believe in the marriage of these 2 ideas, and that like ultimately in the pursuit of intelligence, the inevitable obvious answer is compassion and kindness. And in order to be compassionate and kind, one needs to be calculated in intelligence to be able to achieve so. Otherwise, it's just empty good intent, which frankly most everyone has. So that's like a nothing bar essentially. So going around this general thesis, I've been writing songs that a little bit more specifically kind of center around this idea. The first 3 singles that I came out with, the first one is Here in This Room, song about safety.
I love that song so much.
Thank you. I wanted to write a song about safety specifically, not necessarily like trust, in that like people might use these terms interchangeably. This is semantics. But what I wanted to distinguish is this idea that anyone can work on a skill that allows them to come across as disarming to others. And that of course, I can work on my own trust with somebody else to let myself let go of things that I might want to immediately protect with a new person I meet. But as that other person, I can also make other people feel comfortable to let go of things that they might otherwise want to protect. So that can come in so many different ways. But ultimately, I think I made a bunch of like video essays about this because it's a fairly complicated topic, I think. But I think the general theme is surrounding around how people set up barriers for what intrudes upon their safety, but ultimately also is the fine line between safety and unsafety that is growth, essentially. If you want to hear more about that, I would most recommend the video essays. I spent a long time script writing for these, and that pretty much covers the very detailed thesis of that song. But that comes from an interaction with like a friend that I pretty much hardly knew that gave me this like incredible insights with this very fresh, very safe interaction that I had with them. I was like, wow. And very quickly we became very good friends just because of how safe this person makes me feel. So that's Here in This Room. And then the second single is Too Scared. Too Scared has gone through a good amount of transformation as well, because I wrote it originally for a friend that I've been friends with for a really long time, like since like third grade. And I wrote it to kind of poke fun at this feeling that sometimes it feels like I can't say anything with this guy, because like I'm a pretty like confrontational and argumentative person. I'll admit it, right? Because I have takes, I have opinions, I have takes, I have thoughts, and I say them, and I put my heart on the line, right? So there was this friend who felt uncomfortable when we were like disagreeing, and he's like, I feel like I can't even say an opinion because you always have like a good rebuttal for it, and I feel like my opinions get steamrolled. And then I was like, oh, like, I guess you're just like too scared to say what you want. And then that's what I wrote Too Scared about originally. So it's actually like me like kind of mocking that. Nice. And then later on, I'm like writing this song, and I was like, hold on a second. I think I'm the problem here. This is on me to make him feel comfortable to say the things. So I actually like kept the chorus because I was like, wait, I actually sympathize with, like, because it's written in the first person perspective of the friend. That's like, I'm too scared to say what I want, to demand what I need, so I hide in poetry. I don't want to stir or disrupt for this talk to come up, so I writhe in jealousy. That's the words of the chorus. I was like, I kind of feel for this person. Wow. Like I wrote these lyrics to like make fun of this person, but I actually like feel so bad for this person that like I'm like oppressing basically, right? So I was like, okay, like now that I see that I'm the problem, I need to now write verses that properly reflect that this actual tone of the song. So that's what Too Scared is about. Too Scared is for the people that just like don't know when to fucking shut up and needs to listen for like a second.
That is
which is me sometimes.
That's such a therapeutic technique to write from another person's perspective, and then just like, I see.
Shit.
Yeah. Right. That's completely unintentional.
Yeah.
So that's Too Scared. And then the third single is Don't Go Yet. Don't Go Yet is probably like the heaviest song from the album. It's about grief. It's just about loss. I wrote it for a friend who went through like an immeasurable loss. And also it's like a friend that I had been very close with, and also was very close with the things that the person lost specifically. And I noticed how I try to really keep it private for who these songs are about. These are like dead secrets. Like I write the songs for people, but I also tell them like, you cannot tell anyone that I wrote this song for you. If you do, I will kill you, right? Like, I love you, but I have to kill you. Anyways, I wrote the song for this person, went through immense grief, and it's one of those songs that really for me is symbolic of how a lot of these songs, when I write these dedications for my friends, they become so much larger than just this single personal interaction that it kind of just starts to envelop my being as well. And it almost becomes my grief, and hopefully not a way that the other person feels like I'm just like stealing the limelight, but rather in the sense that like I'm really, really sharing this pain and grief with this person, and that hopefully can lighten the load for them. So Don't Go Yet is a lot more also just like my poetry in work. That's one of the songs where a lot of like other songs that I wrote very lyrics first to kind of had this general line, and then I just started like I hit record on the voice memo and I just talked for like 20 minutes, and then just like took my favorite words from that and then built melody off of that. So Don't Go Yet's that one. One more single in 2 weeks. I think this is my favorite song on the album. I can say who I wrote this one for because I wrote it for myself. The message of I Never is very simple. It's just a don't give up. I was feeling down and I was like, I want to pick myself up. So I wrote a song to tell myself not to give up. And it really works. It's so crazy. Like every time I listen to it, I feel invigorated by this like indomitable human spirit to just overcome anything. So I just mainly wrote it around this like imagery of like a seafarer like searching for land, and also a lot of these pieces do have subtle bird imagery in them because again I just can't help myself. But pretty simple with the concept of I Never. It's just a don't give up song. I also wanted to write a 4-chord song for once in my life, so that's a 4-chord song. Also, I think I picked 4 great chords also.
It's 5 chords, yeah. Love those chords.
And the other thing that I'm really looking forward to with this particular song is that I want to say like a month ago, 2 months ago now, basically, I hosted this like huge picnic with some friends, and we filmed like a music. That's right.
I almost went. I signed up.
Come on, where were you guys?
I'm 2 hours away. Something happened. I don't know if I was sick or like.
I mean, I'm gonna keep hosting stuff like that. That's kind of the plan. I'm gonna be trying to like hosting probably like that single release party along with like a housewarming kind of thing, like in like 2 weeks, something like that. A lot of these things are like lining up with major life events for me too, so I'm like, okay, I can probably just like housewarming plus single release party this. And then like mid-October when the full album comes out, it's shortly after I turn 30, so I'm like, okay, well, like I can like squeeze that together too, which is also crazy, you know. So we did this whole picnic in the park, Central Park, and the other really fun thing is I had a friend coordinate a flash mob, so we probably got like 30-40 of us there, and then I had her come up with a group choreo that she taught us and we all do in like the climax scene of the song. And we had this really cute moment. I don't know if you remember this. There was this like,
of course I remember that. I will say I did not do the choreo because I was too sweaty, so I just watched.
That's what intimidated
it was nice
me.
having
I
you
was
there.
one of like 3 people to not do it. I was like not happening. Sorry.
No,
guys.
I would have been there with you because like I was saying to Dean, like if I go to this, I can't dance, man. Like, it would be embarrassing to have me on camera.
I've been there. That's why I didn't get on.
I would have been like, I'm too hot too. We can sit under the tree.
Okay, I will say this. I think the fact of the matter was that and this is what I'm shooting for all my stuff, is that I want to have just the power of numbers just like hide everyone too.
Totally.
So like, of course, like you'll be able to know yourself and you'll be like, oh, that's me, and I'm folding, you know, like it's fine because it's in a sea of like 40 people. So who cares, you know? And I feel like that's like, going back to the topic of safety, it's like that's a really good way to like make people feel safe. Is that's just like people just don't want to be perceived all the time, and that is okay. And hiding people in a crowd of 100 people is like one really great way of making people feel less perceived. So that's kind of the goal, because none of my friends dance really. I mean, the only dancer there was the one that taught the choreo, and yet like it was kind of heartwarming for me and also awesome for everyone that basically everyone was game. Like maybe only 3 people who like didn't dance. I mean, I'm not gonna force anyone to dance. If anyone doesn't want to dance, they don't have to. And you can still join the picnic. It's great. You're still my best friend, you know. Like, but despite that, like almost everyone danced. Everyone killed it, in my opinion. It was so much fun, and there was this really sweet moment where there was this squad of Vietnamese kids that were just like on a group trip.
Some kind of trip to the
like
US.
10 kids that were like 10 years old. This was really cute, and they were just learning the choreo off to the side. They were just doing the dance, and they were like crushing it, honestly.
Yeah, it's that TikTok education. They're like,
one
try, they're like, I got it.
That's it.
Yeah, everyone's just like, I feel like, honestly, that's one really good thing that TikTok has done, is that like the level of dancing globally has just like skyrocketed.
That's crazy.
Absolutely skyrocketed, which is great, honestly. And so these kids obviously crushing it, and then luckily we had like someone that speaks Vietnamese in our crowd, and so she goes over, she's like, do you guys want to like join us? So they joined us for the last take.
Super cute.
So we're gonna try to squeeze them in, like because it was so sweet. Like I almost wanted to cry when they like joined us, because it was like, even going all the way back to what we were talking about, like a teaching all ages thing, like like having kids in the video, awesome for me. Like that's so in line with my ethos. So like that was a beautiful moment.
I love that.
The whole community thing really shows. When you said it at the beginning, and now hearing all of your descriptions of your songs, it really, really shines through. And even watching, because I know you have a couple of videos out with a whole bunch of people in the scene. So like Nathan, I think Rebby was on it. And even that really makes you feel that community. And was that part of the plan when you hired all of those people to do the vocals with you?
Yeah, I mean, for that video specifically, Nathan and Rebby, I met through Peter. Like Peter introduced us to each other, but I mean they're still like very like adjacent to the whole circle. I would say like I mean end up playing with my friends. And I would indeed say that the whole featuring this kind of community is very in line with the message, because I also don't want to go about any of my messaging in a shaming way. I want it to rather just be like a beacon of light that people are attracted to. It's like, I want to be a part of this. And then me saying, everyone can be a part of this. Just keep inviting more and more people. I actually, for a lot of the songs, 4 of the 8 songs on the album, I featured background vocals. But what I wanted to do is, I really love like huge maximal stadium like background vocals. Never quite got stadium, but what I did is I set a challenge for myself to get 100 people on background vocals.
Oh my god.
Nice.
And I did this with several ways. One is I set up this little track that people can record remotely to, for people that just aren't in the city. And then on a different day, I booked basically a whole afternoon here and invited people, come through whenever, and I will record you, and you will be on my track. I think we ended up getting like 50 people, which is honestly, I'm very proud. Yeah. So
That's
not a
really
bad number.
good.
I really wanted 100, but I also just threw it into, vocal doubler, and that's like 100 essentially.
Yeah, it's emotionally 100.
Yeah, right? That's 100.
It's 50 times 2.
We'll do it if you ever need to more.
I will.
Yes.
I'm gonna keep doing it because I really loved it, and I want to shoot for more and more people every time. And if I were to also be honest about it, it's also very good promo. Like,
Yes.
because there's nothing quite like getting people like personally invested in the actual creation process.
Sammy Ray did that, I think.
Oh,
She
really? Okay, cool.
had the link and she sent it to a whole bunch of people.
Oh,
and then
the
there was like a
virtual choir
big,
thing,
big
That's so
virtual
good.
choir. It was so cool.
Yeah.
I wanted to do that too, and I didn't end up doing that.
I can't manage
people-
that many files. I would do that,
Yeah,
but I'm
that
just
sounds like
like
a lot.
It is a lot, but Vocaline is a great software.
Vocaline's a miracle. Oh my god.
So-
I could not live without it.
Yeah, what I don't know, if it weren't for that, I don't know what I would do.
Yep.
But otherwise, great. So yeah, that was really fun. And again, like one of those themes where like people who aren't singers, people who are shy to sing, came in. A lot of the lines are not even singing lines. A lot of these are just like shouting lines. And so if you're just in a crowd of like 100 people, nobody really feels shy about it. In this recording particularly, for sure, you cannot pick out an individual voice unless it's like a specifically like spectacular voice, like someone that extra went for it, but that person wasn't scared in the first place.
Right.
Yeah.
So that's been really, really fun. And it's also nice that like, I think going back to the thing I was saying about promo, it's just like, it kind of, to me, it's not enough that I just write the songs. I think that does not accomplish what I set out for. I want to have the message of these songs embodied in my life.
Yeah.
And that includes like me, like for example, making video essays talking about the topics, because again, I can't compress that message in a song, and in a song it's just going to be abstracted anyways. So I want to talk about it with words. I love to yap anyways. And I also think that like having in-person, like the community events, like recording stuff together, I think that's also very much in line with it, especially when it comes to like people of different circles coming together. It's really fun when I see that like there are people that I didn't know each other from the recording sessions be hanging out with each other on the regular nowadays. That stuff makes me very happy.
That's amazing.
It's amazing. Peter, I'd love to know your ethos going into producing these tracks.
It's very interesting because I think that Kai and I have a lot of similar ideas about like what we care about as far as our lives are negotiated. I mean, like, my whole career is staked out on like an improvised community jam session, and then I built a recording studio with my best friend into a loft apartment where there were constantly 10 other people there at all hours of the day, sleeping, making a record, or eating, and so it's like my whole life is surrounded by the chaos of friendship and the chaos of community, and like that's probably the thing I care about the most, period, I guess. You know what I mean? Like that's like kind of the end of that thought almost. But so I think that we have similar interests in what we want to do, and we both, I think, have similar musical concerns, which are that of like volume. You know what I mean? Like, not even in like a stupid way. Like, I earnestly mean, like, I think we both like it when there's a lot of shit that's really loud.
Mm-hmm.
So
and
true.
we similarly
Right there.
when there's very little shit that's very quiet.
Yeah.
Yes.
Like, I earnestly am like, I mean, maybe this is too extreme I don't want to speak for Kai, but like for myself, that is definitely my primary musical concern.
Oh, I
It's like,
mastered a -3. I'm with you.
Yeah, I just want it to be really loud or really quiet,
Yeah.
and I'm pretty uninterested in anything in between. Like,
Yeah.
if it's in between, it only should be then serving to go one direction or the other. You know what I mean?
I love that.
I think that part of that for me at least comes from because my background is in performance, right? It's like not in like production. Like I don't
Right.
like come from a beat maker background in the way that a lot of producers now do. I like come from like putting on a show. And so it's like when I think of a good show, I try to make records like it so it feels like a show. You know what I mean? Like I want there to be theater, I want there to be drama, I want it to be exciting, like I want it to hit. You know what I mean? Even like even mellow stuff can still hit. You know what I mean? And that's like ultimately how I feel about making records. And so it's like in my production process, both with Kai and in general, I strive for acoustic instruments. I really am bad at MIDI programming is ultimately what it is. And so like a lot of the digital stuff that is occurring, it's all Kai, because I could never get near that. You know, like it's just like I'm so bad at it, which is it's fine. I'm never gonna be good at it, and I'm down to move on, you know. But like I like using real instruments. I like committing sounds going in, you know. I like committing distorted vocals and compressed drums. Like it just sounds awesome, you know. Like I just want things to sound, I want to be excited by every sound that I record. You know what I mean? I don't want any sound to feel like, oh well, I'll just figure that out later, because it's like you can, but it's like it's just a waste of your time. You know, it's like then you're gonna sit there and like you're gonna change what plugin you have on it over and over and over again, and ultimately to no effect when you're just gonna tuck it into the mix so deep you can't hear it at all. So it's like at that point, like who cares? It's just a thing, you know. It's like, I mean, I think that like something I learned about working on Kai's record also is that like I mixed it also because the instrumentation's unbelievably dense on a lot of it. You know what I mean? Like there's a lot of stuff happening. It really teaches you just don't really have to mix all of it, is what it comes down to. You can just turn it on and that's good enough. You know what I mean? And like I think that like, you know, working in batches and kind of thinking about like layers of keyboards is actually a singular sound and not 4 different keyboards, you know, like trying to treat them all as one thing, and then just understanding their phase relationships and how you can maximize the power and the volume of those things, like is something I think that Kai's record really taught me, because most records I work on are not quite this dense. Maybe other than my own, to be honest with you. Like, because I think the only other music that I work on that is like this like level of ignorance sometimes is my own, you know? Which I think is why we're such a good production match, because I think that we both are interested in being like, sure, just put another one on. Let's have another person playing the same thing. You know, it's like emotionally having 50 voices, you know? It's like, I'll record a horn part and then I'll just put 9 doubles on it just for sheer volume, you know? And it's like, and power, and it's like
the wall of sound.
Right, and it's not, is it providing anything? I don't know, but it's cool, you know? Like, it looks cool and it sounds kind of cool, you know? Like,
what you said about, you know, taking all the keyboard layers, you got 10 of them, and just mixing them as one thing, that really speaks to an approach I started taking a few years ago of top-down mixing, meaning I like, my first move is putting my master chain on.
Oh, interesting.
And then I'll do like my instrument bus, and I'll just work down. And by the time I get to like the keyboard bus, most of the mix is there.
Right, totally. It's just filling around it. I mean, I very much, my approach and my mixes is definitely like, it's like, you know, kick, snare, bass, vocal. That's kind of all it really is. And then everything else is just like, all right, how do I use this to fill the space around these other things, you know? And I think like the mixes that I had the most trouble with were the ones where I feel like I didn't have a great, going into it, I think I didn't have a great plan as far as like the hierarchy of sounds, if that makes sense, you know? Because I think in all these songs and in any mix, I'm sure Kai could says this also, like there are obviously sounds that are simply more important than others, that are driving the song in different ways, and that might change moment to moment, but like having an understanding about what the important parts are and how you can emphasize them and how you can use other things to support it, I think that like is really important to do in production. And I think that like, I don't even really want to say that I'm good at it, but I think that I have an appreciation for it and an understanding for it because of improvising as a musician, ultimately. I think that, like, it's funny, I was talking to a student about this yesterday, and it just feels so relevant right now, but I was talking about how, like, for the way I play, often also, a lot of time people hire me to play parts that aren't there just to kind of like fill it out, you know what I mean? Like it's like I'll be playing a gig and it's like, oh yeah, there's no guitar part in the song, but like I just kind of need you to like add some shit, you know? And so it's like a lot of the way that I approach playing the instrument is like, okay, like I don't really need to actually do anything. Like I should only really be doing something that is like really supportive or like really interesting, you know? And so like I think that like playing that way and improvising in that way and like trying to understand how to fill around people, how to like avoid register and how to like sit under and sit over and, you know, fill in, you know, all that kind of stuff comes through a lot in the way that I approach production, because that's just kind of how I think about all sounds ultimately.
That's, you know? Arranging. That's living
right,
in arranging.
Yeah,
at all
exactly.
times,
and I think that that's why I'm so drawn to engineering specifically, because so much of it is like trying to slot all these things together, you know what I mean? Trying to figure out how the kick fits against the bass, how it fits against the snare, and then how that fits into like an 808 and stuff, and like how do you make all these things feel like together but also distinct, and then also powerful but also quiet, you know? I don't know, but like yeah, I don't know, I really don't have enough nice things to say about Kai in this process, to be honest with you, because I think that like of all people that I've like ever worked with, Kai both is the most open in terms of what should happen, but also the most decisive. it's very clear. It's like, do you like this? It's like, no. Great. Okay, let's move on. You know, it's not this like, he's not like worried about hurting my feelings, and he knows he's not gonna hurt my feelings. Because I'm like, this isn't, first of all, this is not my song. You know what I mean? Like, ultimately, that's how I feel about working on other people's records. I'm like, this is not my music. I will do anything you want me to do because it's your idea. You know, I'm here to support the thing you're doing, you know? So it's like, if I'm like, hey, what about this? And he's like, nah, don't think so. I'm like, great, what's the next one? You know what I mean? Let's try another idea. Or let's just not and just move on. Whatever, it's fine, you know? And I'm not upset about it because I'm trying to be in service of the music, you know, always. But Kai was also the most willing to hear an idea. You know what I mean? Like, I feel like oftentimes you'll work with artists that you maybe don't know so well or people that you haven't worked with a lot before. And it's kind of like a tenuous relationship where you're kind of trying to understand, like, what is the way that we interact? I mean, a lot of producing, engineering, whatever, is like, you know, it's like social skills. You know, it's kind of understanding how to read a room and how to talk to people and how, like, you know, maybe you should or shouldn't speak to someone, or how you want to give notes to somebody, if you should give notes at all, you know. It can be really challenging to, like, either contribute ideas or to give feedback or to kind of, you know, ask questions about what's going on without seeming like you're calling into question the entire piece of music altogether, right? And so it's like, I feel like I didn't have any of those reservations working with Kai, probably because we have known each other for so many years and spent a lot of time together. But yeah, I feel like we were both kind of down for the chaos in a way that I think that is like, felt very honest to the both of us. It certainly felt honest to me, you know.
That's beautiful.
It's definitely a project that I felt sort of I felt like the most myself working on this project, more than almost anything else, probably, other than maybe my sister's project, where I feel like I have a really strong artistic identity as a part of it, because my sister and I kind of, you know, grew alongside each other and our tastes developed with each other. But other than that, it's probably the project that I feel most like creatively like fulfilled and aligned with.
Wow.
That's amazing.
I'll add that like one way also that I feel really like this production relationship was very compatible is like Peter was talking about his like live production background, but like for me, I come from like a very strong like EDM influence, so it's like kind of the polar opposite as well.
But it's also kind of the same
also, like,
thing.
But it's like
that's
also
what we realize,
the
you know,
energy, like the energy movement is like the same thing. It's just the way I think the sounds get prioritized is like a little bit different. So I love programming very ignorant risers, for example. Like I just have risers all over what I make, because I just think like it's like, yeah, like everyone can just play louder and do more notes, or I can just throw in this like sound of a seagull reversed that goes really high, totally. And that's gonna be awesome.
Yeah, it was a tight rider. The seagull drop was crazy. Yeah,
like, oh my god, it's really interesting that you guys started talking super nice about each other in the last few minutes, because that was going to be our final question. Was you know, what is, you know, one thing that the world should know about each other? But you kind of already did that in a sense yourself, and I think that speaks to you, Kai, and your music and everything behind it, the community, the safety. It just automatically came out between you two without us even having to prompt it, which is like, I think that really showcases your relationship.
Love it.
I think so. Yeah.
I think that like one of the things that really nurtures safety is one's own security in the first place. And one thing I'll definitely say with Peter is that like, I think as especially like an engineer, especially like if you're having to say do like vocal production with him and he's recording for you, Peter's really good at just giving very short, concise feedback that isn't blunt and hurtful. And I think like people are easy to say like, oh, like blunt, good, but I think that is not quite there. Like blunt is sure better than being roundabout and beating around the bush, but blunt still could use care. And I think Peter's feedback always has care on top of it being so concise. And that's what I really love about it. So it makes it so easy to work. We're fast, but we're also like, we're efficiently communicating, but we're also putting energy to think about how the other person will receive the feedback.
Totally.
And I think that nurtures a really beautiful studio environment as well. So yeah,
Thanks,
I think
man.
Yeah,
I love that.
But it feels like a two-way street in a lot of ways. I feel like it's easy for me to be able to do that with you, because you're also good to be like, hey, was that good? And you'll know if I'm like, yeah, it was great. You're like, okay, great, move on. You know what I mean? It's like you're not going to hang up on it. And I think that like that can be really challenging, both as a performer but also as an engineer, to be like trying to figure out how to engage with somebody where it's like, no, like, but it really was good. Like, I'm not bullshitting you. You know, like I mean it. And then, you know, people be like, nah, let me just say one more. You know, it's like, okay, fine, if you want to, go for it. But you're not. You've hit the point of diminishing returns. You know, it's not gonna get better. You know. It's like, it'd be better maybe if you just go home, practice, come back in 2 days, and then try again.
Right,
you know?
right.
Like, which is a fine solution, but it's like, I think knowing when to bail is important. And I think that, you know, I mean, studios are challenging, right? They're very expensive. Yeah. You know, everyone's time is very valuable. Schedules are impossible. So it's like, yeah, people come here and they want to bang out a whole record in a day, and I totally get it. I would want to do the same thing. But it's like, sometimes, like, you're actually better off walking away. You know, you're better off being like, you know, like, I'm just going to bail for the back half of the day and then figure this out later. And it's fine, you know, but And we definitely like double backed on some stuff that we kind of pushed through too fast. And we definitely like at a certain point we're like, this vocal is not really hitting the way we thought it was. Let's just do it again. Like I think we were like almost done mixing it even, and we're like, let's just do it again right now, whatever, it's fine. And then just plugged it in and just did it. And we're like, oh great, way better. Nice. Like,
which track was that? Was that one that's out?
Was it Too Scared? I think it was something on
Too Scared, or also I think it was Back to You. I think there was something in the verse, Back to You verse that just like wasn't quite hitting. It was like a verse of something.
Right. Yeah. I remember. I distinctly remember it was a first verse. I think.
Yeah. So
I mean, nothing would be more insane than when we realized we had to vary speed. I'd never. That was a crazy last thing.
Okay. Shift in between.
Well, and this. Okay. I mean, you probably could explain it better, but basically, we had recorded all these strings after the rhythm section, but they had recorded to the very sped version of the demo, right?
Yeah, 104%.
Right. So it was like we recorded the strings a little faster, which meant the pitch was a little different.
Right, you're
too.
like 10 cents sharp or something.
Yeah, it was something I don't remember, but basically we kind of forgot until the end that the strings were not going to line up, and so I had to we took the whole finished mix of the rest of the song, and I just kind of like did a save as. I was like, I wonder if I can just like fucking vary speed the whole thing. Like every stem with all the time stretching, melodyne, everything, and processing. And I just like did it and dropped the strings in, and I was like, please, please, please. And it like totally worked. Thank God. But it was literally, I think it was the very last thing we did.
It was the very last thing we did.
On the entire record. Yeah. It was like, we were just putting it off, and then it was like, oh man, all right, I guess this is the day.
It's like, if this doesn't work.
And like, we're completely fucking cooked.
That's
and then
some
like
Beatles stuff,
and then we went more insane when we were like, ooh, like the key changes at the end. Like, what if we just pitch the strings up for every key change? Because we didn't even bother recording them. And so then we started pitching shit up too, and I was like, damn, we're like fucking psycho right now.
We were screaming.
Like,
but nobody knows. Nobody will ever know. That
I mean, they might know it's very sped. It sounds very sped in a good way.
It sounds so good.
All the chopping is cooking now. Like, all the bass chops are so shredding now that it's a little faster. Like,
no one will ever see all the duct tape behind the scenes.
I know.
They just see the finished product.
Yeah, doing a production walkthrough on some of these songs would be fucking hilarious. People like, what the fuck is going on?
Yeah, that was fun though. Those are some fun. The mixing days were really fun.
Super fun, yeah.
That's amazing. Is there anything the two of you want to plug coming up soon? Obviously, a new single.
New single is September. Let me check the date.
September 9th, right?
Wow, you're so you remember everything.
Yeah. It was already gone from me too.
Right, Tori. So I Never, fourth single from my album is coming out September 9th, and then the final album should be coming out October 17th is the current tentative date. Might be like a few days before after that. Doing a album release show October 19th Sunday at New Blue.
Nice.
So
you, Peter?
And Peter, anything coming up?
Just let's make a record. Yeah, that's all.
Short stack.
Short stack NY. We out here. Short stack NY.
In Greenpoint.
1222 Greenpoint, Brooklyn. No, yeah, I don't know. I mean, nothing particularly of note, to be honest.
It is really cool. You should come here. They have the craziest selection of keyboards and synths I've seen in a while. It's good. It's a good place.
I have one more question for you guys. What's your favorite bird?
It changes a lot. I usually answer this question with the first bird that comes to mind when people ask
this question.
All the time.
A lot. He talks about birds all the time.
Into birds. He's more into birds than you would think. Do you know what I mean? It's not like, I like birds. Like, he knows like a lot about them.
You know? Like
but I do too. I really like birds.
So you know
too.
a lot about birds too. Crazy.
Especially like going into the pandemic, I turned into one of those people who
classic.
went outside, took pictures of every bird. Every time I'm on the train, I see a bald eagle. I see a blue
I have a bald eagle lives in my backyard in my parents' house. So random.
Beautiful.
It's kind of scary, low key. Sometimes you're like sitting out there like, oh my god, this thing could take me out right now.
I'm gonna answer the question. Right now it would be tawny frogmouth. It's like a Australian bird that looks like an owl, but it's not quite an owl. They can kind of like change shapes in a really cool way. They have a crazy camouflage where they'll sit on top of like a broken branch and just like stretch their head out to look like the rest of the branch. They're like weirdly crazy good camouflagers, even though they're just brown. They don't change color or anything like that. But that would probably be my answer. Tawny frogmouth. Really cute birds.
That's so fun.
That's so cool.
It's so fun. I think I like owls.
I love owls.
Owls are extremely cool.
Then you would like tawny frogmouths.
Yeah.
They look like owls. People think they're owls when they see them.
Have you seen an owl before?
Like in general?
Yeah, like in real life, not like at a zoo. Like,
yeah. Oh yeah.
See, I want to see one
we've gone
so
looking
bad.
so many times.
I've been in the woods, like howling at nighttime, looking for owls, and I can't find any.
We live out in the middle of nowhere.
Yeah.
Okay. Like before this turns into like a birding podcast, like I'll say like quick thing about the birding that has been the number one thing that I'm saying. First of all, I'm a major novice. I'm in like these group chats with like real birders, and I'm like, wow, like you guys know so much more than me. I am absolutely such a novice. I just like birds a lot, and I know something about them. But the thing about like a lot of birding is that like you probably have seen an owl, but you just didn't register as an owl. Like you'll see something fly by in the corner of your eye, and you just don't recognize its flight pattern as an owl, for example. Like especially if something black flies by you at night, you're just gonna think it's a crow most of the time. But like that could have been like an eastern horned owl or something like that. You know, you just won't know. Like you'll only know if it was white, because then you can be like, oh, barn owl probably.
That's crazy.
But like a lot of times birding comes down to stuff like that. We're like, which is why everyone needs binoculars. Like you just have to like really see it to identify it. That's all birders do, is they just look at it and be like, yep, it's that one. You know, they don't catch anything, they don't hunt anything.
Yeah, just
there's no like combative element to it. It's just like, yep, and they just move on, which is very respectful. I would say.
There's this app that I had on my phone at one point that told you like people would record when they saw a specific bird
ID or Merlin.
I don't remember exactly which one it was, but I had it for a while, especially during the pandemic, and I'm like, we have to go to this place at 2 p.m.
We need to go to the park now.
Yes,
or
they log
whatever.
that stuff on it. Yeah.
Drive 2 hours.
There's like a place near us. It was like an hour away, and it's known to have owls. And every time I go, there's like no owls.
No owls.
And then I'll leave, and then people like show all their pictures on the Facebook group, like, look at this owl that I just saw 2 minutes ago, and I'm like, damn it! Like,
I just left. Yeah, it is tough. I on my last trip crossed off like a few like big like bucket list birds that I haven't seen in a while. Like for any birders watching this podcast, like cedar waxwing saw my first for the first time. Northern flicker saw my first for a long time. So those are very, very exciting for me. I love North American birds. I think they're very beautiful. In general, just like I think a lot of North American wildlife is like highly underrated. Birds specifically. Yeah. Beautiful birds here.
So cool.
Hell yeah. Well, thank you so much for having us here.
Thank you.
Thank you for being on our podcast.
Yeah.
Yes.
Thank you so much for listening to this episode. Thank you to Kai Ono and Peter Enriquez for joining us. Thanks to Peter's studio, Short Stack Studios, for hosting this episode. We shot this on location in Brooklyn at Short Stack. Definitely go check them out on Instagram. They're doing so much cool work. They're making so much amazing music. Of course, all of Kai's stuff happens there and so much more. So thank you to all those people for joining us. Thank you for listening. If you enjoyed this, please rate us 5 stars on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, wherever you're listening. Find us online at Relatively In Tune Pod, relativelyintunepod.com, and on Twitter, RIT Pod. You can also check out all the merch on our website. We have t-shirts and sweatshirts and mugs and stickers and all kinds of cool stuff on there. You can also donate if you want to help us keep making this podcast, give us more resources to do so. And be sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel at Relatively In Tune Pod. We do all kinds of fun stuff on there. We're trying out some live streams, and we post, obviously, the full videos of every interview on there, along with lots of little fun clips, too. So until next time, thank you so much for listening. I've been Dean DeMarzo.
And I'm Tori DeMarzo.
This is Relatively In Tune, and we'll see you next time.